Hey, it's the Screen Team. We are back. It's a brand new year in the Screen Team world. And of course, a lot of big things going on this year. A little bit later on in the spring, we're going to be celebrating our 300th show. And also, we're going to be doing our 1000th review. We're very, very excited about that. We'll have tons of giveaways this year. So definitely be listening to KWOC and check us out on our website at screenteampb.com. Guy is in with us. We just got done with his favorite film of all time, Scent of a Woman. Now we're going to review what is considered by a lot of critics as the greatest film of all time. We're talking about Citizen Kane. Now, Guy, I want to know, are you on board with the critics? Do you think that Citizen Kane is considered, do you think it's number one?
Do I think it's number one? For me personally, no. But do I think it is a cinematic masterpiece and deserving of all the praise? Absolutely. Just from the way that Orson Welles did symbolism in this movie was just ridiculous. And camera shots that back then, I mean, you're talking early 1940s. To be able, there's one shot where you start on the outside gate of Kane's Manor. You go through the gate, you go up over the arch, in the pouring rain. You go up the building, over to the skylight, down through the skylight, and down onto the table in one shot. Yeah. Now, that done nowadays, pretty simple, and most of the time done with computers. But then, we're talking, what, 70 years ago? 80 years ago, before advancements? Oh my God. And there's one instance where later on, he's contemplating the repetitiveness of his life, and he brilliantly symbolizes that by him walking in front of a mirror, which is repeated in a mirror, repeated in a mirror. Yeah, I remember that. They did that straight on without you seeing the camera. Yeah. That's another one, because think about 73, Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. They did that whole mirror room sequence. That took them, I believe, 2 weeks to film because they kept finding the camera in the mirrors. 30 years earlier, he did it. So, I mean, it's just things like that. When he's so enwrapped in his life, he's beginning to slowly distance himself from his wife. He exemplifies that by the table getting longer and longer and longer and longer, symbolizing their distance. I
didn't even notice that. That's brilliant.
For somebody to do all of that and still, at least to me, tell a very engaging story. Oh, I am in love with this film, and it is well worth AFI's ranking as one of the top, if not the top film of all time. Very well worth it.
There was one shot in there, talking about shots, that really caught my attention, was when the reporter was talking to Citizen Kane's best friend, and he's kind of going into a flashback, and it was almost like a play scene where he was outside at the time, and he was like, well, back in this day, and all of a sudden you see like the lights kind of go down, and it almost seemed like the house lights went down, and then the other lights went up into the flashback, so to speak.
He had a very theatrical mind. Orson Welles really exemplified what it was like to be a student of the theater. He came from the theater before he started doing radio. Yeah. So he understood how to make those things work in theater. Then he took his ideology of radio and brought it to film. So he took the best of both and really incorporated them. And there is a reason Orson Welles is considered the master. There really is. He has earned that title far and away over and over again if you look at his body of work.
What really gets me, or what really surprised me about the film, but maybe not the film exactly, but the reception of the film. When this film came out, it got a lot of praise with the Academy. It was nominated, I believe, for Best Picture. Didn't win. Nominated for some other awards, but in the box office, didn't do well at all. So it just amazes me how, I guess, one generation can find it not appealing, but the rest of the generations afterwards find it to be a masterpiece.
Well, it really is also what he did was ahead of his time. And now that we're living in the age of what is commonly referred to as the filmophiles, those who have gone back and watched older stuff like The Original Haunting by Robert K. Weiss or Citizen Kane or any of these older films that, if you have a love of movies, you watch, but then you get an appreciation of what it took to make those. That didn't exist back then because most of the time, critics back then were more, if it sounded artsy, it was good. And the paying audience was, we want something to entertain us. We don't want something to challenge us or make us think.
Right.
Now we're in, please give us things that challenge us and make us think. And they're giving us the lowest common denominator. So it's kind of flip-flopped. So, well, let's be honest.
No, I agree. I agree 100%.
I watched the 2016 Ghostbusters. But it really does boil down to those two.
Yeah.
The consuming public is a lot more, I wouldn't say cynical, but picky in what we want to adhere to. We want things to challenge us. We want things to take us somewhere. Sometimes we just want to be entertained. But with art being subjective, what for some people is, hey, this is fantastic, this is brilliant. Other people can go, this is boring as crap. I mean, my girl thinks Citizen Kane ain't all that hot. She thinks it is absolutely boring.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we sat here and talked to her. It's just, art is subjective. And whether people want to believe it or not, film is art.
Yeah.
It is a form of art. Just like comic books, just like painting, just like animation. It's all forms of art, and art is subjective. So, where I can agree with AFI, some people don't.
Yeah. The funny thing is I've seen Citizen Kane twice. I saw it many, many years ago, and I was like your girl. I didn't like it. I was like, man, this is really, really number one over Godfather. I didn't understand, but when I watched it a few weeks ago for this review, I was like, man, I understood a lot more, and I understood what he was going for.
And I think that comes more also with age, understanding our life experiences, because we do project a lot of ourselves onto the characters that we relate to. And relating to, the story of Charles Foster Kane and how he evolves into being, he wasn't truly megalomaniacal, but he was on the verge.
Yeah.
When you go through that, you do project a lot of your own life experiences on there. So I think the older you get, the more the appreciation of it, because you're projecting a lot more of your life experiences towards it.
It's very, very true. All right, stupid question, but let's end the segment with a stupid question.
Nothing wrong with a stupid question.
Nowadays in Hollywood, you see a lot of remakes, a lot of reboots.
No, it will never happen. I'm going to cut you off right there.
Not even if Scorsese was like, I want to give it a try.
Scorsese, Oliver Stone, no. I don't care. The only way you could, I think, redo Citizen Kane is if it was done by the Coen brothers as a musical starring George Clooney.
There you go.
That would be the only way you could possibly do it in any kind of viable fashion.
I can see Hollywood writing this down. Okay, what was it? Coen brothers musical, George Clooney. All right,
because we have that kind of reach.
That's right, man. That's right. They're scouring the internet for Screen Team videos.
20th Century Fox, get on it.
All right, the movie's called Citizen Kane, and of course, it's one of those you can find anywhere. So check it out. Coming up after the break, we're going to get Guy's thoughts about the movie Assassin's Creed. But before we go, show us this.
Yeah, I have this. I'll be wearing this during the review.
All right.
It's a hidden blade.
All right.
You'll see it.
All right, we'll check that next right here on KWOC.